Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nashtapraishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, second chapter, the Lord in the Heart, text number 27 onwards. Na yatra shoko na jara na mrityu nartir dinna chod vega rite kutaschit yachit tato adah kripya nidam vishad vidam durant dukh prabhav anudarshanat. In that planet of Satyaloka, so that planet, what Shuddha Goswami saying in the previous verse, he talked about that the duration of life in Satyaloka is calculated to be, if I read it right, 15.48 billion years, or maybe, I don't know how many zeros are there. So it's pretty long life there. So there is neither bereavement, nor bereavement means no miseries, nor old age, nor death. There is no pain of any kind, and therefore there are no anxieties, save that sometimes, due to consciousness, there is a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotion service, who are subjected to unsurpassable miseries in the material world. So only problem they have, na cha udveg rite kutashit, na cha udveg, no udveg, no disturbance. Only misery they have is when they see people in the material world. They are unaware of the process of devotion service and are subjected to these miseries. Foolish men of materialistic temperament do not take advantage of successive authorized knowledge. The Vedic knowledge is authorized and is acquired not by experiment, but by authentic statements of the Vedic literatures, explained by bona fide authorities. Simply by becoming an academic scholar, one cannot understand the Vedic statements. One has to approach the real authority who has received the Vedic knowledge by disciplic succession, as clearly explained in the Bhagavad Gita 4.2. Lord Krishna affirmed that the system of knowledge as explained in Bhagavad Gita was explained to the sun god, and the knowledge descended by disciplic succession from the sun god to his son Manu, and from Manu to King Ikshvaku, the forefather of Lord Ramchandra. And thus the system of knowledge was explained down the line of great sages, one after another. But in due course of time, the authorized succession was broken, and therefore, just to re-establish the true spirit of knowledge, the Lord again explained the same knowledge to Arjuna, who was a bona fide candidate for understanding due to his being a pure devotee of the Lord. So Prabhupada is explaining that this knowledge cannot be just had, cannot be attained by scholarly pursuit of academics. One has to approach a guru, and from guru one has proper guru, and by service and by humility one can attain this knowledge. Bhagavad Gita, as it was understood by Arjuna, is also explained in Bhagavad Gita 10.2 to 13. But there are many foolish men who do not follow in the footsteps of Arjuna in understanding the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. They create instead their own interpretations, which are as foolish as with themselves, and thereby only help to put a stumbling block on the path of real understanding, misdirecting the innocent followers who are less intelligent, or the Shudras. It is said that one should become a Brahman before one can understand the Vedic statements, and this stricture is as important as a stricture that no one shall become a lawyer who has not qualified himself as a graduate. Means to become a lawyer, one has to first become graduate. Similarly, to understand Vedic literatures, one has to become a Brahman, not a caste Brahman, the Brahman by qualities, not Brahman by birth, but Brahman by qualities and karma. Such a stricture is not an impediment in the path of progress for anyone and everyone, but it's necessary for unqualified understanding of a particular science. Vedic knowledge is misinterpreted by those who are not qualified Brahmins. A qualified Brahman is one who has undergone strict training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So then one can understand the Vedic scriptures. So why so much of stress? So such a long paragraph Prabhupada wrote, although this is not even related to the verse. Why? Because Prabhupada wanted to talk about those people who are unaware of the process of devotional service. So the people of Satyaloka, they feel compassion for these people. So, so that's why one has to start taking advantage of this vast Vedic knowledge, which tells us what's the goal of life and how to make progress on that goal, on the path towards a goal, and how to achieve that goal. The Vedic wisdom guides us to understanding our relation with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna and to acting accordingly in order to achieve the desired result of returning home back to God. But materialistic men do not understand this. They want to make a plan to become happy in a place where there is no happiness. So this material world is what Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, it's dukkhalayam. It's a place of miseries actually. He has designed it in such a way. And why people, inhabitants of Satyaloka, including Brahmaji himself, they feel compassion because Brahmaji knows what he has designed, what he has created. Of course, Krishna created first and then Brahmaji created, but Brahmaji knows what exactly is the creation all about. It's only about miseries. That's all. So they feel compassion towards the people, towards all the living entities who are stuck in this material world and who are not even trying to get out. Rather, they're trying to be happy, be comfortable in this place of misery. For false happiness, they try to reach other planets, either by Vedic rituals or by spacecraft. But they should know for certain that any amount of materialistic adjustment for becoming happy in a place which is meant for distress cannot benefit the misguided man, because after all, the whole universe with all its paraphernalia will come to an end after a certain period. It will not go on forever. Then all plans of materialistic happiness will automatically come to an end. The intelligent person, the intelligent person therefore makes a plan to return home back to Godhead. Such an intelligent person surpasses all the pangs of material existence like birth, death, disease, and old age. He is actually happy because he has no anxieties of material existence. But as a compassionate sympathizer, he feels unhappiness for the suffering materialistic men, and thus he occasionally comes before the materialistic men to teach them that the necessity of going back to Godhead. All the bona fide acharyas preach this truth of turning home back to Godhead and warn men not to make a false plan for happiness in a place where happiness is only a myth. So that is a real preaching. That is a real life, a real way of living. When we dedicate our lives on the path of going back home, back to Godhead, that is real life. not making plans to prolong our suffering here. But this is what 99.99% of people are doing. And this is what makes the people of Satyaloka very compassionate. And not just Satyaloka, bona fide Acharya, the proper mention, all the bona fide Acharyas preach this truth of returning home back to Godhead. So this is real preaching. And why the Acharyas preach? Because they are compassionate. That's all. They don't, like Prabhupada, when he came to the West, came to America and started preaching here, he did meet one yoga doctor, Dr. Sharma, and Prabhupada stayed with him for some time in his yoga studio. And then Dr. Mishra, Dr. Mishra. And then Dr. Mishra used to tell Prabhupada, Swamiji, you're thinking of preaching this message where you're going to ask people to quit eating meat, quit drinking, quit gambling, and quit illicit relationship. Your program will fail. It will not work. But Prabhupada, he was so fixed up, so determined that no, I am going to give them the right message and right dosage, and because I want them to quit all this so that they can get eligible to go back to Godhead. Not give them some false message and they think that, or they are becoming spiritual, but ultimately they are going to hell like that. That message I cannot give. And Prabhupada stuck to his purity and stuck to his points, and he got so much of success. And Prabhupada did say that if I had diluted my program, I could have had millions of followers. But what was the point? I wouldn't have taken them anywhere. So this is the real compassion. That he was really compassionate towards the people who were suffering, and he wanted to take them back. He didn't really care for, although of course he did preach to many rich people, and many rich people became his disciples, but he didn't neglect hippies or the people coming from very low background. Whoever was interested, whoever showed even a little spark towards trying to understand what this knowledge is all about, he gave them. He gave them his mercy. And there was an incident where Prabhupada, when he was in New York, he used to go for his walk at Central Park. It's a very famous park in New York, Central Park. So one day, Prabhupada was going with his disciples in the morning for that walk, and from behind the bushes, one like very dirty, very poor person who hadn't even taken bath for maybe months, long hair, beard, torn up clothes. He just jumped towards Prabhupada's lotus feet, and he just grabbed on this lotus feet. And all the devotees who were walking with Prabhupada, they were surprised. Who is this person? Where did he come from? And Prabhupada very compassionately, he just rubbed his hand in this person's head, in his hair, whatever the hair, it was all messy hair. And Prabhupada said, don't worry, I got you. And then Prabhupada told his disciples to take him to the temple. Disciples were, what is this guy gonna do at the temple? But anyway, it was Prabhupada's order, they took him. So at the temple, first thing, obviously when the person comes to the temple, they said, okay, you have to shave up. So they shaved his head, they shaved his beard, long beard, and make him take bath, and they gave him clothes, they gave him prasadam, and they just he couldn't tell them his name either, so they just called him Pigpen, like somebody coming from a pig farm. So they was just called him Pigpen, and afterwards, obviously, he stayed there. He got initiated, and then he would, because that time Sankirtan or book distribution was at its peak. Everybody would just go out and do the book distribution, Sankirtan whole day. So he asked temple president or the Sankirtan leader that I want to go for book distribution, because nobody would take him anywhere. They would just tell him, okay, you just sit in the temple and chant. So he said, no, I want to go for book distribution. So the Sankirtan leader, boy, he can't even speak properly. What is he going to do? But he kept on insisting. So they took him. So when they took him for book distribution, so now book distribution is like they take a big van full of books, and every devotee gets down, take his book back, and they just go in different directions. And when their books are over, they come to the van, refill, they go back. So the Sankirtan leader gave this devotee some books, and he said, "Okay, you go." And he said, "This guy is not going to do anything. He just gave him some books. Okay, I'll see you later." So within like half an hour, he came back. He said, "Give me more books. All my books are gone." And the devotee was surprised. I mean, all the big distributors, they were still distributing, and their books were not gone. And this guy just came back. Anyway, he filled up his bag again, and he sent him back. So in the end, he did pretty good with book distribution, more than anybody else. So they asked him, they were surprised. You don't speak, you don't know the philosophy. What did you do? How did you tell them? What did you tell? Tell the people that they were taking books from you. He said, I don't know the philosophy. I don't know anything what's in the books. So he said, I would approach people and show them, because in every book, in the back, there's a picture of Srila Prabhupada. And he said, I would show them the picture of Prabhupada and tell them, this Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, he's my guru. He saved me, and he'll save your life also. You take this book. And he said, people started taking the book. So obviously after Prabhupada left his body in 1977, he stayed in New York. And after a while, it was few years back, maybe 5, 6, 7 years back, we heard he was in Vrindavan, and he was very sick. So the devotees kept him in a Vrindavan temple. There's a hospice for the old people who are leaving the body. And finally, he left his body in Vrindavan. Among devotees were chanting for him, and in Vrindavan, there were so many other senior devotees were there to meet him. So this is Prabhupada's compassion. From what background? New York City, Central Park, no bath, no nothing, to leaving the body in Vrindavan. It cannot get any better than this. There's no way. So this is Prabhupada's compassion, and this is really the compassion of self-realized souls who know the value of life, who know the goal of life. The compassion is not just like when Arjun was feeling compassionate towards his grandfather and guru, or his relatives, how can I kill them? So Krishna says, Prabhupada says in the purport that the compassion has to be rightly placed. Arjuna was getting compassionate towards their body, but the real compassion is towards the soul. That is a real compassion. And that is shown by preaching. But first we have to be compassionate towards ourselves, that we remain Krishna conscious, and then we have to bring others into this fold, into this path. So then not for just to make up numbers, to to really give them something that they are lacking, and then that's the only thing that can make them happy. Otherwise, this material world is just a place of misery, no matter where we go. Whether it's India or whether it's America, it's all a place of misery, nothing else. Text 28. ततो विशेषं प्रतिपद्य निर्भयस्तेनात्मनात्मातो अनलमूर्तिरत्वरं ज्योतिर्मयो वायुमुपेत्य काले वायवात्मनखं बृहदात्मलिङ्गम्. After reaching Satyaloka, the devotee is specifically able to be incorporated fearlessly by the subtle body in identity similar to that of the gross body, and one after another, he gradually attains stages of existence from earthly to watery, fiery, glowing and airy until he reaches the ethereal stage. Anyone who can reach Brahmaloka or Satyaloka by dint of spiritual perfection and practice is qualified to attain three different types of perfection. One who has attained a specific planet by dint of pious activities attains places in terms of his comparative pious activities. One who has attained the place by dint of Virat or Hiranyagarbha worship is liberated along with the liberation of Brahma. But one who attains a place by dint of devotional service is specifically mentioned here in relation to how he can penetrate into the different coverings of the universe and thus ultimately disclose his spiritual identity in the absolute atmosphere of supreme existence. So, different layers of the universe, and when the devotee reaches further up, further than Satyaloka, then he gradually attains stages of existence. Then he slowly, his material body, it starts going away. From earthly body that we have, then it's more subtle, watery, more subtle, fiery body, more subtle than earth, water, fire, air, ether, glowing and airy until he reaches the ethereal stage. Slowly he is leaving his material body. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, all the universes are clustered together up and down, and each and every one of them is separately sevenfold covered. So there is a covering, 7 layers of covering on the universe, as we had discussed earlier. So there are 8 elements. So if we consider the inner element as earth, the next covering is of water, and each covering is 10 times thicker than the previous covering. So that's how strong the coverings are, and that's how big the universe is. The watery portion is beyond the 7-fold coverings, and each covering is 10 times more expansive than the previous. The personality of Godhead, who creates all such universes by his breathing period, lies above the cluster of the universes. The water of the causal ocean is differently situated than the covering water of the universe. The water that serves as covering for the universe is material, whereas the water of the causal ocean is spiritual. As such, the watery covering mentioned herein is considered to be the false, egoistic covering of all living entities. And the gradual process of liberation from the material coverings, one after another, as mentioned herein, is a gradual process of being liberated from false, egoistic conception of the material gross body, and then being absorbed in the identification of the subtle body till the attainment of the pure spiritual body in the absolute realm of the kingdom of God. So Jiva Goswami is explaining in a different way that the watery body that is mentioned is a mention of egoistic, false egoistic conception. It's his way of putting it. So gradually the living entity starts losing all the material body, means starts losing all the false egoistic conceptions of material body. And slowly, slowly he attains a spiritual body. Srila Sridhar Swami confirms that a part of the material nature, after being initiated by the Lord, is known as a Mahatattva. The fractional portion of the Mahatattva is called the false ego. A portion of the ego is a vibration of the sound, and a portion of sound is atmospheric air. So it's little philosophy given here. But bear with me. A portion of the airy atmosphere is turned into forms, and the forms constitute the power of electricity or heat. Heat produces the smell of the aroma of the earth, and the gross earth is produced by such aroma. This is little difficult to understand right now, but same things are explained later on in Bhagavatam in more detail. How the whole universe comes into being. And all these combined together constitute the cosmic phenomena. The extent of the cosmic phenomena is calculated to be diametrically both ways 4 billion miles. That is actually when it says diametrically both ways, means up and around. So the diameter of this universe is 4 billion miles. Then the coverings of the universe begin. The first stratum of the covering is calculated to extend 80 million miles. And the subsequent coverings of the universe are respectively of fire, effulgence, air, and ether, one after another, each extending 10 times further than the previous. That's quite a bit of the shell that we are in. The fearless devotee of the Lord penetrates each one of them and ultimately reaches the absolute atmosphere, where everything is of one and the same spiritual identity. Then the devotee enters one of the Vaikuntha planets, where he assumes exactly the same form as the Lord and engages in the loving transcendental service of the Lord. That's the highest perfection of devotional life. Beyond this, there is nothing to be desired or achieved by the perfect yogi. So yes, the description of the universe, when we come to that part in the third canto, we'll study that, and it's amazing. But just like Anima Mataji was asking, well, I like to read, but just for I don't have too much enthusiasm in reading, which is fine. But some devotees, they love to read all these different calculations or description of the universe. In fact, so much so that there are two devotees, they have written books on Vedic cosmology, and in the temple in Mayapur that we are building, the big temple, there will be a model of the universe based on the explanations given in Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's basically based on the books written by those devotees, explaining each and every part of the universe. So, well, some people get attracted by that. Some people get attracted by something else. That's okay. Everything is absolute. Everything is related to Krishna only. So it's okay. Some people like numbers, figures. There are many, many figures we will go over. And some people just get bogged down or get discouraged by looking at so many figures. Like in the previous verse, when we were reading the age on Satyaloka, I don't even know how to read, how many zeros are there. In Hindi, I can count, but in English, I cannot even count that. So, it's just different things will attract different devotees. So that's okay. But Shukdev Goswami is telling all this, and Prabhupada explained in more detail, just for us to understand the opulences of Krishna. So first opulence, and then we'll get to know then we'll approach him properly. That's the whole idea. So I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Hare Krishna. So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you.